You don't have to be Einstein's cousin. You don't have to be a senior at Caltech to know that illegal immigration is illegal. Duh. It's illegal. That people in our country illegally are not above the law either. You have the right to protest in America. You do not have the right to protest violently.
Welcome back, Patriots. If you want the raw, unapologetic truth that the fake news media is completely terrified to cover, you are in the exact right place. We just witnessed Senator John Kennedy take the Senate floor and deliver one of the most blistering common-sense reality checks I've ever seen. While the radical left is busy making excuses for lawlessness, defunding the police, and allowing our borders to be overrun, Senator Kennedy stood up and brought the hammer down.
Now let me say a word about Minneapolis. There's a lot we know. There's a lot we don't know. I want to talk about 3 things we do know. Number 1, the loss of life in Minneapolis was a tragedy. And if you can't admit that, you have a padlock on your heart. It was a tragedy. We don't have all the facts. I know everyone's seen the videos, but the people involved haven't been interviewed. There are a lot of facts we have, but a lot of facts we don't have. And I am not going to rush to judge. I'm not going to rush to judge. President Trump has promised a full and thorough and transparent investigation. And I thank him for that. But regardless of what we find out, we all have to concede, we all should concede that the loss of life in Minneapolis was a tragedy. And I'm sorry it happened. Number 2, this is the second thing that I know. You don't have to be Einstein's cousin. You don't have to be a senior at Caltech to know that illegal immigration is illegal. Duh. It's illegal. And those of us who believe that no one is above the law, we all say we believe that. I believe it. No one, those of us who say that no one is above the law have to concede that people in our country illegally are not above the law either. The law applies to them as well. Our immigration statutes are not second-tier laws. They matter just as much as the other statutes that have been passed by the elected members of Congress. And just like the other laws, the immigration laws have consequences and should have consequences if you violate them. Now, so I guess what I'm saying, Mr. President, is I support enforcement of our immigration laws. Now, how you enforce those laws, matters. Those laws, like all laws, have to be enforced in accordance with due process. Those immigration statutes, like all laws, have to be enforced in accordance with equal protection. Those laws have to be enforced in accordance with a well-known Supreme Court case, 1968, called Terry v. Ohio, which sets forth the standards. Reasonable suspicion is the standard chosen by the Supreme Court, by which someone can be stopped and questioned when a law enforcement official doesn't have probable cause. Terry v. Ohio has to be followed. So number one, illegal immigration is illegal. We should enforce our immigration laws, but how we enforce them matters. Third and final point. You have the right to protest in America. Let me say that again. You have the right to protest in America. You do not have the right to protest violently. And in fact, violence, as you protest, undermines the morality of the thing that you're protesting over. Let me say that again. Violence, if you choose violence when you protest, that undermines the morality of the movement that you say your movement is based upon. You know who else understood that? Dr. King. King understood it. Gandhi understood it. Mandela understood it. Violently protesting, not protesting, but violently protesting undermines the morality that you say your cause is built upon. It's also dangerous. It's dangerous it's dangerous and it's stupid. It's 12-piece bucket of stupid. Because when you protest violently, when you interfere with a cop or an ICE officer, it's not going to end well. It's not. Under the best of circumstances, these officers are trying to enforce federal law. And the people with respect to whom they're trying to enforce federal law are, in most cases, I'm not going to say all cases, but in most cases are criminals. Not criminals because they're here illegally, though that too is a violation of our law, but criminals because they have violated other laws, in many cases felonies. And those ICE officials, those cops are scared. They're scared. They're dealing with someone who could be armed, someone who could be dangerous. So you've got a powder keg. And when protesters choose to protest violently and harass those ICE officials and blow whistles in their ears and block their way and spit in their faces and curse them and curse their children, they're giving off sparks in a powder keg. And it's not going to end well in many cases. And the truth of the matter is, it's been my experience in life, most, I'm not going to say all, most cops will leave you alone unless you do illegal stuff. So, as we go forward in America and try to enforce our laws in conformity with the United States Constitution, as we go forward together in America, and while we're respecting people's constitutional rights, we respect our law enforcement officials who are doing a very difficult job. As we go forward in America today, as the President has promised, to have a full and fair and transparent investigation of the tragic loss of life in Minneapolis, I hope we can keep those three things that I think all of us can agree upon in mind. I'm sorry we're at this point, but I believe that our future can be better than our present. and certainly than our past. Thank you, Mr. President, and I yield the floor to my esteemed.
This is what real America First leadership looks like. Let's get straight into this masterclass in conservative truth. Senator Kennedy started by addressing the situation in Minneapolis. He didn't play politics with it. He looked right at the camera and said, the loss of life was a tragedy. Every sensible Republican agrees with that. We believe in due process and the rule of law. But what we don't believe in is the radical left using a tragedy to justify mob rule, burning down American cities and declaring open season on our police officers. Kennedy refused to rush to judgment like the mainstream media always does, demanding that we let the actual facts and the justice system do their jobs. This is where Kennedy went totally scorched earth. He perfectly dismantled the left's open border insanity with pure, undeniable common sense. He said, you don't have to be a Caltech senior to understand this basic fundamental fact. Illegal immigration is illegal. Duh. He completely exposed the massive hypocrisy of the Democrat Party. They love to scream that no one is above the law when they are trying to weaponize the justice system against Donald Trump and conservatives, but Kennedy threw it right back in their faces. If no one is above the law, then people who break into our sovereign country are not above it either. Our immigration laws aren't just polite suggestions. They are the laws of the land passed by Congress, and violating them must have real consequences. If you are sick and tired of watching left-wing agitators burn down our communities and attack our cops, hit that subscribe button right now. We are fighting for law and order every single day. Kennedy then dropped the absolute line of the year. He defended the constitutional right to peacefully protest, but he completely torched the violent mobs. He pointed out that violence instantly destroys any moral high ground. He looked directly at these radical rioters who are harassing ICE officers and local cops, blowing whistles, spitting in their faces, and cursing at their children, and called it exactly what it is, a 12 pieces, twice bucket of stupid. These brave officers are dealing with a powder keg every single day. They are trying to enforce federal law against people who in many cases are dangerous, convicted felons, and these radical agitators are out there treating our law enforcement like punching bags. Kennedy said it perfectly. Most cops will leave you entirely alone unless you do illegal stuff. It's time to start respecting the brave men and women who hold the thin blue line, and it is time to finally enforce the Constitution of the United States. Senator Kennedy just proved exactly why he is an absolute legend in the MAGA movement. What did you think of his fiery take? Let me know in the comments below. Smash that like button, share this video to defend our police, and I'll see you in the next.